Spoken Labour.
He lurked in the shadows, waiting and hoping she wouldn't take a different route. This was her usual room. He knew that. He knew her.
Ghost of Me, the new book by Amanda Steele, can be found at Amazon, Kobo, Waterstones, and many, many other places. Hi guys, it's Andy N. Thanks today for downloading or streaming yet another episode of Spoken Label. As you may or may not be aware, Spoken Label was started in the beginning of 2006, and currently we have well over 150 sessions recorded and sent. Although you can find it on various networks, the full archive is available for streaming and downloading at Spoken Label bandcamp.com. It is a free download or free streaming there, but obviously, if you feel like chucking me a few pennies that way, it'd be eternally grateful to help me keep this podcast going and keep improving my equipment, etc. Enjoy. Speak to you soon. Bye bye. Spoken Label. Hi guys, Andy N. Spoken Label, back in the house. Right, this is becoming a regular habit at the moment because you've got another young lady on the phone here on Zoom today, and she doesn't know this, but she's the third person trot in 4 days I've spoke to from Ireland, Southern Ireland. It's ironic, honestly. The last two people I've been speaking to have both come from just outside Waterford as well. And I don't think you know them.
Really?
So it's like, yeah.
Oh, it's such a small world.
Yeah, that's why. But that one, okay, well, the lady I spoke to yesterday was publican in Waterford, and before I got to speak to her, somebody else got in contact that she knew. They go, she's asked me to speak to you as well. Can I do a podcast? I said, okay, more than that.
Oh, and so that easy.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, honestly.
So cool.
It just shows you a small world now. Obviously, Deirdre Rose, who I'm speaking to today, is a friend we just said before, a friend who I met when she was 11, which is a few years ago, wasn't it? So I've been great fun talking to Deirdre. Now, Deirdre, introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them who you are and where you're from and where your creativity originally came from. We'll start from there.
Sure, yeah. So I guess I'm Deirdre. I'm a poet. I'm living in Maynooth, which is not too far from where I grew up, but it's enough different to keep everything interesting. I'm in quarantine, the same as everyone else at the moment, so trying to keep sane and to keep motivated and active as much as possible during that. Where I came from, I grew up in a very largely matriarchal household, actually. My mum and my granny were definitely my two biggest influences. And I'm very, very lucky to have lots of aunties on both sides who are also very keen to put in their opinions and love and all of the rest.
Wow,
I think my art really came from just needing something to focus outside my own head a little bit. I find that it really helps me escape what's going on internally.
Oh yeah, completely. And answer you completely with itself. Now, obviously, in relation to yourself, now it looks like you start. First thing I see then was your visual piece. You started off with "Can't Sleep, Won't Sleep," wasn't it? That looks like where everything came from originally. Tell us, everybody that doesn't know what that is. Explain a bit more about that first of all.
Absolutely, no problem. So those pieces actually, they were some of the toughest things I've done. They were the beginning of me learning how to do Photoshop. So I was very lucky. I belonged to a group called Common Grounds Collective, and I was lucky enough to have a number of artists there who were able to teach me how to use Photoshop and how to encourage me in improving my poetry and editing. And so I basically learned just through personal tutorials with friends and with my common ground artists, how to start putting my work with images. And so I use a lot of open source images. Like I take stuff from old books and illustrations, and it just basically became an awful lot of fun. It became hunting down something I'd never seen before and putting with something else I'd never seen before, and then having that actually be able to express my own internal wanderings or meanderings was kind of amazing.
Oh yeah, completely. Now, obviously, you've already mentioned or just mentioned that as well. obviously about Common Grounds Collective. Now, again, how did you get involved in the Common Grounds Collective? And for people that don't know, who are they?
So the Common Grounds Collective are a artist collective. We started in Maynooth in 2015 with a huge group of incredibly talented artists who basically came together to try and just promote themselves. So in Ireland, I don't know how it is for yourselves, but we have absolutely no support from government, from anyone. Like, it's, if an artist isn't looking after themselves, then they're not getting looked after, if that makes sense. Like, it's very
same over here to a degree, don't you?
Yeah.
You can apply for lottery funding, but I think a lot of it is you have to self-sustain yourself, and that's aspect you like that.
Yeah, you have to be able to prove that you're making an income, and a lot of us can't make incomes, like, or not income that's taxable, like, you know, at least at the beginning. So it's kind of, it seems really redundant to me to force someone to already have an income in order to get a grant to be an artist.
Yeah.
So we came together to basically try and just promote each other, support each other, put on events, and just meet people that are like-minded and that really want to push themselves and their own boundaries outside of what's already happening. And I was incredibly lucky, because like I would have always written, I would have always been very creative, into drama, but very, not shy, like I can talk for Ireland, but not particularly proactive about putting myself forward or even being brave enough to share my art. So it took years. Like, it wasn't, that was 2015, and I didn't start sharing till 2017, maybe end of 2017, beginning 2018 was when I actually started being brave enough to get up, to say my pieces, and then eventually to put them online. It takes time.
It takes time, I think, sometimes. Like, it is, like, because I'm 48, and I didn't start sharing my work till I was in my 30s, into mid-30s.
Oh, wow, yeah, so you know exactly how it feels.
Yeah, it was just took time. Sometimes the way society is now, there's more platforms, particularly in the last 5 years, blown up than ever was in the last 20 years before that. So it's, a lot of it is just trying to find the time and the right place for it. So I can understand you getting that straight away with that. So certainly. I can see from what you've been telling me as well, a lot of your poetry is the quite confessional type, isn't it? Delving into a lot of your personal experiences.
Yeah, so and actually the Can't Sleep, Won't Sleep are a perfect example of that. That was me being very raw, and it was they all came out of a time where I've suffered from very, very bad insomnia. So a lot of my writing is done either very late in the night or early in the morning, depending on what you want to call it. So a lot of my stuff is kind of rambly and sleep deprived and weird, and it was just really I felt really good when I finally started getting it out, to realize that other people felt the exact same way as me, and to have people coming up to me and saying, oh my God, I've thought that and never been able to put it into words, or like that was probably what made me continue. You know, it was fun getting up on stage, but it was the actual conversations I was having afterwards where people were actually kind of empathizing and understanding. It was, that was what really cemented my love of performance. And
of course. I get it completely with that one straight away. Now, I can see obviously, like, you've done a lot of organising and promoting, haven't you, as part of the Common Grounds team itself. Tell us about that then, because I want to learn about the experience, what you've done to learn from that then.
Sure, yeah. So that has been some of the best crack. I'm not even, like, so much work, but genuinely worth it from every angle. Like, and even now, especially because of the quarantine, like, a lot of it has fallen upon me. But to be honest, it's fun. It keeps me active, like promoting work and contacting, like, even sometimes I'll message a friend if I know that there's an event on, someone I haven't talked to in years, and be like, hey, heard about this thing and I thought you might be interested in it. But ever think about checking it out? And it's amazing how you can reconnect with people through an event that you might never have thought someone might be interested in, or and the way that you can actually make new friendships and grow your social network. And especially for something like Common Grounds, it's so important for us to be meeting and involving each other and interacting, even if it's online, if it's in person. So from that angle, like, promotion has always been, I think, one of the key things for me. Like, it's the only way that you're ever going to get people to see your stuff, you know. So I'm kind of lucky that I enjoy it, I guess.
yeah. No, getting completely. Yeah, no, makes sense perfectly. So now, obviously, I know you've been. I know you did a few festivals last year, didn't you? At least I hope you did. Anyhow, the information I've got. when well, listen, you said already it's obviously out of date. So
Yeah.
did you go? Did you go and perform at the Arcadian Fields and the Blue
I
Day
did, yeah.
Festival?
Arcadian Fields was my first ever festival, and it was amazing. So it was my second time being there. It's a beautiful. If you ever get a chance, come over, perform. You would love it. Like genuinely, they would love you as well. You could do both ambient and poetry. You'd be perfect. It's exactly that kind of scene. It's an amazing little festival out in Dundalk in Blurgan. And it was just stunning. It's set in this old stately manor, and they just had the room I was in was just beautiful, big gold curtains, and it was just really, really amazing. And I was able to do that with one of my housemates and best friends, Joanne Whelan. She actually did visual pieces, so we made videos to match my poetry, which was incredibly difficult to get that timing every on point. But it was, yeah, Arcadian Fields was amazing. Really could not recommend it enough. And big shout out to all the lads who organising it. Hopefully we'll see them again next year. If not, because I don't think this year is going to happen.
Oh no, no. I think this year's probably out at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. It's fortunate. Like I said, I know I had a lot of stuff planned myself this year, and I've had to do a lot of stuff online. It's the way it's gone at the moment, definitely. So.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What I want to ask you about next is obviously, I know you did a single, didn't you, fairly recently with Flash Kelly under an alias of Queen D. So is this your new top secret? D. Is this your top secret alias? Is it?
Kind of. So the idea behind that was more that I think my musical persona has to be very, very different from both my poetry or my spoken word persona and my actual real life person, because I just would not be brave enough if I wasn't playing some form of a character to get up and do something with actual musicians.
Yeah, of course.
I'm so lucky. Once again, Peter is one of Common Ground's finest artists. He's one of my favorite boys. Incredibly talented singer-songwriter and artist, actually, in general. His page is amazing. If anyone hasn't seen it, check out his Common Grounds. And so he basically just sent me a track and was like, "Hey, Dee, I think you sound good over this." I was like, "Oh, really? You do?" And it all went from there. And we were very lucky. Had an incredible videographer, Nico Salvino, who was very patient with us because we didn't pay him anything. And he put so much work in, and it's such a beautiful video, and I'm just over the moon. So I'd love the video to do well, nearly more to show off Nico and his incredible skills than anything else.
Yeah, it's a really good video. I was watching it at lunchtime today. Before I started work.
Yeah, it's different. Like I enjoy it, and I thought I'd hate seeing myself, and I thought I'd hate hearing myself, but I actually strangely enjoy it.
Tell us about the experience of that video then. So where did all the storyboarding of that video came up? Was that a lot of yours that had like joint ideas, or was it mostly yourself that came up with the storyboarding the video?
It was definitely a mix. So Peter and I have been working together for years, so we work quite well creatively, and then Nico was amazing. He basically just let us do whatever we wanted. So we were using the space, Peter uses an artist space called Backloft, and we were basically using it's just an incredible area, beautiful layout, and just really, really lovely. So we were using that space, and we just wanted to kind of give the idea of everything being a little bit surreal, and the idea of having two very different voices in your brain, one being that things are kind of stressed and awful, and then the other being kind of the happy imp who doesn't care that things are stressed and awful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Peter played that role perfectly, I think.
Yeah, that was good, really engaging track it was, and I thought it was really well done, and the video was really added a lot to it, definitely. So, do you think this will be a project you'll return to again, or are you not sure yet?
I would love to. Yeah, definitely. So, I have ideas for Queen D as a persona. Like I have at least 3 or 4 other tracks I really want to get out under the idea of being so both regal and an absolute mess at the same time. So we'll see how that goes. Peter and I are definitely talking about working again together, and there's a few other people in the Common Grounds fold who I've been working with possibly for future things. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Cool.
But yeah, I would love to do more with that. That would be a lot of fun.
What I should have asked you before was, and I used to do this at the beginning of the podcast, and I completely forgot. Well, obviously, you were talking about, in relation to your writing itself, I found it really interesting, is that you talk about, you like experimenting a lot of different rhyming schemes, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
to quote you, to fully immerse your audience, the story you're telling. So who's your writing influences then? Have you got anybody you really like in particular that inspires you?
I do actually, yeah, absolutely. So probably my favorite poet of all time is Ogden Nash. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know Ogden Nash. Yeah,
one of my favorites. So I've always just been. I like silly poetry. I like nonsense verse. Like I've always been obsessed with two dead men got up to fight in the middle of the night. Like it's just I love anything that's kind of silly and yet just flows beautifully. I love any kind of tongue twisters. Like I just anything that makes it both fun to say and also makes you think. I just think you're doing something right. Like an awful lot of my favorite nonsense verse had political meanings at the time that they weren't actually allowed to express, so they had to write them through absolute sheer nonsense. And I'd like to think that I try to put some of that into my own writing, like both with the rhyming scheme and also with trying to have as many meanings for myself as I can in there. I never want to be bored rereading something, basically.
Oh no, I think as an artist you've always got to keep moving on anyway, because the amount of aliases I've adopted over the years, it gives people a challenge to try and find out what you've done in the past. That's why.
Exactly. And how you
keep on your toes.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with us being in lockdown at the moment, it's very, very hard to judge. Obviously, what's going to happen, what you want to do next. But do you have any sort of ideas what sort of projects you'd like to do next?
I do, of course. I've got oodles of projects and no way to make them happen.
Typical.
No, I do. I've got a few things in the pipework. So I've actually been offered a job as basically running events for a venue in town. But the venue probably won't be opening up until September, so I don't know what's going to be happening up until then. But basically what I really, really want to be doing is getting paid to do common grounds, to put on events, to promote things, and to just to basically be doing what I love and getting some money for it. That's the ongoing goal. But I think promotion definitely and event running is going to be my go-to for the next few months once we are finally allowed to run events. I can't believe I decided that this is going to be what I would do at this time of my life. I have literally the worst time with any person ever.
Typical, that's definitely so.
Yeah, you finally figure out.
Do you think you're ever going to bring a book out of your writing, or you're not sure yet with that yet?
So that's a funny one. My mom is constantly telling me to bring out a book, and I wouldn't be against this. I'd probably be more likely to do something. Probably I'd love to do postcards. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but postcards, I think beautiful sets of postcards have always been something that I've been interested in and collected myself. So I think that my work, I don't know if it flows well enough yet for a book, or if I have a cohesive enough amount of pieces. Whereas I think for small things, for posters, for postcards, I just think that my work seems to go better for that. So definitely I'm looking into merch, but I don't know if a book would be my way of going. I know you've published your own book, so what did you find that helped you as an artist? Or
it did work very well, but unfortunately with that I did a load of them through Lulu, but Lulu's had a massive update and it's causing me a lot of problems at the moment. It is. So in my case, I might yet have to go through Amazon for my next book. So I've got a book that's ready to go to. So
always, you'd kind of rather avoid if you could, I'm sure.
Yeah. But there's plenty of options. There really is so many options being books like that, because the partner Amanda, she's an expert. She can tell you all kinds of things you can do with publishing books.
Yeah. Well, I'd be very interested to hear. I suppose I have a limited enough idea. Like when I was growing up, actually, my dream job was to be an editor. I was obsessed with the idea. Like when I left college and school, I applied to plenty of places looking for unpaid internships, and genuinely there was nothing going. And it just it almost maybe soured my soul a little bit to the idea of writing books. So I'm sure it might be something I come back around to, especially if I had someone to kind of bounce off of, or someone who already knew what they were doing. I suppose, if I had a path to follow.
You'll get there with it, I'm sure, on that one. Definitely. Right, so. Now, that's all my questions on the chat side. So if people want to find out more about you, where are they best going?
Yeah, brilliant. So definitely commongroundscollective.ie. That's where I would send everyone. It's got all of my work that I'm willing to share with the general public. I've also got my Instagram for just my poetry. So that's right on D, spelt as you would imagine it. And yeah, apart from that, I'm going to be bringing out things hopefully over the next couple of months. So definitely keep an eye on Instagram and YouTube, where I'm up on the Common Grounds Collective YouTube as well. So definitely the Common Grounds umbrella is where I would send people.
Sounds good to me. Okay, dokie then. Right. Well, that being the case then, I know you're going to do a few poems for us now, aren't you? So what we'll do, everybody, we'll take a quick break and let Deirdre get herself ready, and we'll come back in a few minutes. She'll be straight back to us with a couple of pieces. So it's been fantastic today. Thank you, Deirdre.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
See you all
really
soon, guys.
Appreciate it.
Take care. In a few minutes. Bye. Hi, guys. Okay. Back straight over to Deirdre now, and she's got 4 poems for us tonight, I think she said. So over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much. So this first poem is kind of an introductory piece, so I thought it would be appropriate to start with. It's called Anti-Immaculate, and it's about how I came about into this world. This thought was conceived in Berlin. Walls already fallen into a new age of parenting. An amalgamation of the Irish abroad, searching for freedom but falling into familiar patterns instead. I mean, who in Germany in the 90s hadn't heard of birth control? With the population of 3 million, could she not have found herself a nice European, rather than the Mayo builder with a liking for liquor, who cemented my feather-headed addictive personality? Not that I'm complaining. I'm glad for my existence, a product of my mother's persistence, a stupidly hard decision for an unwed woman to make. First out of marriage baby, maybe the loneliest thing she could think of, and on the brink of losing herself completely. She loved me unconditionally and never let me forget the depth at which she needed me. However, her mammy wasn't so easygoing. Already knowing how much children take from you without a partner, her heart was harder to the idea of an illegitimate tidbit ruining her daughter's life. She spent 3 days in bed crying, dying from the knowledge that all that college and learning would be for nothing. Or that's what she thought then. But by the time I can remember, she'd already surrendered, found herself as the matriarch of the Gilson clan, serving me with an idolatry saved for the first grandchild, a ham child. And now she tells me what she used to tell my mother. A good job is worth 2 men in the hand. Life rarely happens as you plan, and a church candle can solve most of the world's problems.
Brilliant. Great start, that. Yeah, I can see where you're saying that's an introduction piece. It does get, you feel like it set the story for whatever you're going to do next, and anything set-wise. Yeah, great choice.
Yeah. My poor mommy and granny both get very embarrassed whenever I tell that. But I enjoy that. They've embarrassed me enough growing up, so I feel it's like time to get a little bit of payback, you know?
Revenge is the same computer games, don't you?
Lovely. So I'm going to go on to one of my newer ones, and this is something I've actually just come out with, and I've written during the quarantine, and thinking back on myself of a year ago. A photo actually popped up, and I was like, oh damn, if I could tell that girl one thing, what would I tell her? And then I realized I actually had a load of things to tell her. So it's lessons from my former self. Be less afraid to ask for help, and do your best to spot it when it's hidden in layers of bad phrasing and metaphors. Open more doors, clean fewer windows. A couple of streaks are less important than a heartfelt conversation. Do more things. Let the dog walk you and stay outside longer than you intended to. Hug everyone you love. Visit your family, go to places you've never been. You never know when that might become a luxury. Sing badly, sing loudly, sing on your own. Talk with friends, talk with strangers, talk to the cat. Write your pain, write your memories, write to your strengths. Use your voice, but don't forget to listen.
Ooh. Yeah, you are very good at your endings there, actually. I noticed that in the second piece of the trot now. No, that's a skill. You always found your writing. It does. It's like it's. Did both those pieces take quite a while to write, or were they quite quick pieces for you to write?
Yeah, well, you see, they start long and they get whittled down and all, like you wouldn't recognize the first version to the last.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So the next piece I was going to do was here. So this is a little love poem, very short and quite sweet. You snuck into my life like an errant thought, barely registering initially, then wham, you fell into place, a reliable fact for me to believe in, an opinion I still hold close to my heart.
Superb, yeah. That's nice.
Sorry?
Sorry, have you finished that? Well, sorry, I wasn't sure if you finished them for a second, that piece. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's quite all right. I think it was a Zoom connect issue.
Oh. Shut up, Andrew.
Not at all. No, I'm vain, so I love any input is always good for me. Yeah, I'm going to finish up on I think hospitality. So it's a long enough one, but it's one, once again, as I was saying, I just love to say it. It makes me feel, it feels good coming out of my mouth in the weirdest or least weird way possible. And it's about a time I got stuck in A&E and for 9 hours for something very simple but unfortunately unavoidable. And the girl sitting beside me had been there for about an hour before me, but she fell asleep. And she ended up missing her spot. I felt very bad about it, so I wrote a poem about it. Hospitality. Black, warm, sweet, no sugar. Legs, rubber, pain, strains, brain dazed, blinking blue reflecting glass, pins and needles, pain and ass. Shift seat, sweaty feet, haven't eaten. Boys come in beaten, full of adrenaline. Eyes meeting, then fleeting away. Spotify plays, one bud out, afraid I might lose my place. Hawk eye on opening door, listening for name. Just the squeak of shoe on floor. No more patience in this patient, tired of waiting. Head berating self for such idiocy. Need these legs and knees to keep in motion. Sickened by the stench of antibacterial lotion. Potions prescribed out of sight underneath bright fluorescent light. Worries heighten as one after another, more important than me, join the ranks, gushing blood, rushing thanks to nurses, whose harried hands push past safety glass and take on the brunt of our stupidity. Both individual and governmental. The lack of staff is fucking mental, bruising parts with no humility, no culpability in our own reckless self-endangerment. We sit on benches of our own demise, half-hearted warnings, frustrated sighs, 9 hours of lies. Lie down, rest your eyes. It only takes a moment to lose your place in this oppressively underfunded system. I try not to feel guilty. She fell asleep and I didn't.
Great stuff, Deirdre. Great way of finishing off that one today. Brilliant. It's been a pleasure chatting to you today. Eventually, and everyone's wondering why eventually. Has been some technical trouble today, but we got there. We got there eventually.
We'll fix it up next time. Thank you.
Brilliant. Now, hang around. I need a quick word off mic. A 2-minute quick word with you, but then we'll be done then. So, thank you again today. It's been a pleasure. And take care. Okay, good luck with the future of your projects. It's been a pleasure. So,
thank you, Andy.
Stay safe and stay sane. Okay, we'll see you all soon. Take care, guys. Bye. Spoken Label. Thanks again for listening to another session of Spoken Label. Our full archive can be found over on Bandcamp at Spoken Label. That's one word. Spoken Label. Full stop. Bandcamp.com. And there is over 150 sessions there. So I'm sure that if you've enjoyed this session, there'll be something else there you can enjoy as well. Take care. Bye-bye. Spoken Label.